Welcome back, folks. My name is LastKnownMeal, and today I want to talk about two questions I always get when I go live. The question number one is always, what's happening with Cyberpunk 1.6 update, and do we have any information about it whatsoever? And the second question is, what's happening with the Witcher 3 update, and why don't we have any information about it so far? And is the project actually cancelled or delayed? Now, honestly, ever since, Cyberpunk 2077 came out, CDPR changed the way they're actually doing marketing, and it took me also a while to get adjusted to it because honestly, some of the choices CDPR has been making and, doing lately, I can understand them on some level. On the other level, they're a little bit confusing for people, but it's understandable going from everything which was happening before, so I want to talk about it and kind of shed more light on it and see what I can, find out and what I think about it in general. So first things first, when it comes to CDPR announcing anything these days, it's kind of complicated because ever since Cyberpunk 2077 came out, CDPR has been on somewhat of a PR and marketing damage control because they understand that creating hype can be dangerous for the company and dangerous for the game, because if you hype your game up to certain levels, it doesn't matter how good or bad the game is going to be. For for some people, it's not going to be enough, and I think that's one of the problems that CDPR was facing in the past. So right now, when you are basically looked at with a microscope with the entire internet, you have to be careful what you're going to release next. But also, silence can be deafening, and silence can create problems later on for you personally in the company. Because, for example, look, when you don't release news about the project and you're silent about it, people start going with all kinds of wild theories and thinking that the project is going to be delayed or cancelled just because of the past experiences we've had with Cyberpunk 2077, and also including the next-gen Witcher upgrade, which was cancelled multiple times, delayed multiple times throughout these 2 years. So now whenever you're kind of prone to delaying stuff and doing, things like that, people don't really trust you fully, and that's something, PR and marketing need to work around to fix, when it comes to people and their opinion. That can be done easily when you adapt your marketing strategy to work in that scenario. And right now, CDPR in this situation, which I think could have been navigated a little better, but at the same time, look, I'm talking as someone from the outside. I do have my sources in CDPR, but it's not like I'm gonna be asking people, oh yeah, what's happening there, where is the game, or whatever. It's not like they're going to answer that for me at all, and I don't want to also bring developers into strange situations where I'm gonna be asking that question, because ultimately it's not going to change much, because the update and the new version of The Witcher is going to come out when it's ready, and ultimately the management is going to be the one which is going to make that decision when to release the game and when the actual update is going to be ready, obviously with a collaboration with their developers and people working in the company. And that was actually one thing that I think CDPR wants to change now, and because they've changed this agile, mode development, where basically what this means is that you're gonna have people going from one project to another to kind of fit the benefit of the project, meaning that you're gonna be moving from one side to another to kind of share ideas and work on different things which are ultimately going to give you fresh eyes of the project, so you don't end up, running in circle and trying to figure out what you're gonna be doing for your next game, or which mechanics you're going to develop, which gameplay formula you're going to develop, and so on. And right now, I mean, from the outside speaking, and some of the tweets, CDPR devs have been putting out there, it does seem that the management, at least for now, is trying to create that stronger bridge between, the upper management and the developers themselves, where they want to have an open, talk with developers to kind of figure out when is the best time to release something, because you don't want the same situation to happen again, which happened with Cyberpunk 2077, where something is released and on certain platforms it's not going to run at all and it's going to be having issues. They don't want to have that PR again, because ultimately that's going to, well, damage their company. And that was the case with the first and only Cyberpunk 2077 expansion we're going to get, where initially it was supposed to come out a lot earlier, but because developers were simply not ready to release it, then they asked for more time to develop it. And it does seem, obviously, as we can hear from, the management saying that the expansion was delayed into 2023, or at least for now in Q1 of 2023, that they are indeed listening to their developers, because honestly, the reason why it takes so much time for Cyberpunk 2077 to give you new features, or features they want to put out, maybe, we shall see which ones they're gonna be doing at the same time, is that, and I talked with people who know the code and who mod Cyberpunk 2077, is that most of this time that was spent on working on the game in these past 2 years was basically ironing out everything in the background because of the issues and problems CDPR had, and that comes with developing the game for PC first and then porting it onto consoles, which is not really something you're going to do in the industry today. You're going to make it for consoles and then port it onto the PC because that's just the way things work, I guess. So through this entire 2 years and the patches we've seen so far, a lot of that was actually spent on fixing the background of the game itself. So it means you have to fix the code if you want to add anything on top of it, because if you don't and you start adding features, it's going to break absolutely. Now, on the other hand, when it comes to, let's say, patch 1.6 for Cyberpunk 2077, I think this kind of goes along with their previous plans of releasing this update in August. I actually thought that this was going to be a smaller update, and I thought it was going to be released a lot earlier. That was a mistake on my part, but it seems that in these now 3 months, almost 4 months, the actual 1.6 patch, if they call it that way, has been cooking in the background of Steam. You can actually see it because they do it that way, so you can test the game and, send it to your QA, so you can kind of see snippets of it. Obviously, you cannot see what the update is going to bring. One thing we do know is that it's most likely going to be, well, at least when it comes to one of the features, transmog is going to be one of the features, but honestly, I would not like for transmog to be the biggest feature of this update. It's a cool thing to have, obviously, but I think, people would like more stuff added on top of that, which could align with the plans to add a couple of new gigs in a form of that small free DLC content, which, we kind of got used to from The Witcher 3. Obviously, it does seem on the expansion part, it's not going to be the same because it's one expansion here, and for The Witcher 3, we had 2 expansions, so that's kind of a sad thing. And also when it comes to The Witcher 3 next-gen upgrade, that right now is being, posted for the Q4 of 2022. For now, obviously. We don't know if it's going to be delayed again, but as I said previously, delaying it again after all of these delays in the past, just, it would be unprofessional, because I would rather have them delay the game once, but delay it for I don't know how many months, instead of doing these short delays and then doing it multiple times because it simply was not ready. Now, at the same time, when it comes to the Witcher 3 project, I mean, speaking from the outside, it does seem there were some problems, not directly with CD Projekt, rather than with Saber Interactive, which was doing the actual upgrade itself, because we do know that in these past 2 years, we didn't really have any information about it, so we didn't have a single screenshot, and we also learned that Saber Interactive is not going to be doing this anymore, so CDPR is now going to handle this update, which they shouldn't, they weren't planning to do before. Saber should have just released this, with their plans, and that would be it. But now they have to do it themselves. So it does seem there were some problems, either with the sanctions, being paid and all, because there is a Belarusian and I believe Russian team for Saber Interactive, especially that Belarusian team. But at the same time, look, it could be something else. We don't know what was exactly happening in the background of them developing that. But Saber Interactive did, port The Witcher 3 onto Switch and all of that without issues, so it could be something else. We don't know that, and there's a high chance we're never going to find out what actually happened on that front. And of course, on one side, when it comes to The Witcher 3 upgrade, they're probably waiting a bit more time to pass because it's gonna be Q4 after all, probably November or December. probably mostly December, so they're waiting for it. But at the same time, having this 20th anniversary streams they're doing, obviously we have 2 more streams. Next week is we're gonna have Thronebreaker, and then week after that, the last one is going to be about Cyberpunk 2077. People think the update is gonna be coming then. Again, I'm not going to say anything because we don't know that, and we don't know if that's going to happen 100% on that last day. So the only thing I can tell you is we shall see. But on the background, the patch has been cooking for a while now, so we don't know if it's close to being done or not. But lately, all of those depots started being updated more and more and more, which means higher activity on the development of that update. So now, when you're thinking about The Witcher 3 and them not showing anything on these streams, you kind of start getting worried if the project is in issues or not. Now, of course, yeah, it's kind of understandable if you assume that. Honestly, my opinion is that, of course, the project is not cancelled. Is it going to be delayed again? We don't know. I think the chances of being delayed again are low. Possible, but very low, because they know that would cause another backlash and so on and so on. Plus, on top of that, we are getting closer to having them, you know, release the Edge Runners anime, so they could kind of, you know, talk about more stuff then, but at the same time, we don't know that. So now, when you have this situation with The Witcher, in my opinion, I think a simple answer from official Twitter account would be, yes, the development on The Witcher 3 Next Gen Edition is active and you don't have to worry about it. I think that would calm people down, but at the same time, having a screenshot or two would be kind of cool to see. So at the same time, that's the situation right now. CDPR definitely changed their strategy. They don't want to reveal anything whatsoever until they think it's absolutely ready. And right now, that can be problematic for people, but at the same time, if this new update for Cyberpunk, next-gen upgrade for The Witcher, and the expansion for Cyberpunk 2077 come out without issues, I think that's going to be enough to calm people down so that CDPR can continue the strategy again of being more silent in a sense when it comes to what they're doing, so that they don't accidentally share something which is going to be cut later on in development, because I think that was a big problem with Cyberpunk 2077. They were saying too much sometimes, and honestly, when you have websites go around it and they spread that information, you're going to have a lot of he said, she said kind of a thing, so you kind of lose what was the truth or not, and that was the problem prior to Cyberpunk coming out. But also, you know, the entire management and everyone just talking too much, hyping up the game. So that's my opinion on it, basically. That's what I think. I think people should not worry too much about it, because at the same time, this only means that their strategy has changed and they're not going to be as open as they did before. Actually, a lot of companies are doing this, you know, these days with everything happening on social media, so it's sad to see, but at the same time, a little bit of information, maybe a snippet or two, or just to reassure people things are good, would be, you know, kind of something I would do. But at the same time, I don't work for CD Projekt, so I don't make their decisions. And that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm working on a big Witcher 3 lore video, because I said I'm going to start doing those again to kind of do what I was doing before. There's a lot of videos that I did about the Witcher 3 lore, which I don't like right now. I didn't like how they were done, so I'm going to redo them and make them a lot better, a lot more enjoyable, and with more detail, of course. Again, don't forget to tell me down below what do you think about all of this. Just write me down below what do you think about everything I talked about in this video. And also don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Discord. And also huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. And if you do want to support the channel in an extra way, you can do it through Patreon. It's much appreciated. This is LKM signing out. Stay classy, everyone, and bye bye.